This is Kentucky Afield Radio. This is Ron Rohde, Kentucky Afield's first host back in 1953. Now, I'm proud to present Charlie Baglin.
This summer, the great outdoors can begin at your doorstep. It's just up to you how far you'll go. If you are looking for a real adventure close to home, my guests today have it. We go inside outdoors with the travel team from the Kentucky Department of Travel. And we'll count down the top 10 places and things to see and do that, just like the commercial says, if you're not here, you're missing out. It's all next on Kentucky Afield Radio.
Did you grab the mayonnaise?
We've got to meet Bob and Cindy at the little store to buy some lunch stuff. Where's John?
He said he left something in his room. He's coming. Did you grab the mayonnaise?
What do you think? Ham, chips? I put that mustard we like in the cooler.
Did you grab the mayonnaise? Oh, here he comes.
Good. He grabbed his life jacket. I should have remembered that.
Did you grab the mayonnaise?
Cupcakes. I want those yellow cupcakes.
Tell your phone.
Boaters are busy, on and off the water. That's why Kentucky conservation officers remind you, your life jacket's got your back.
By the time you're 20, you have a good knowledge of the course you're taking in life. I'm glad I do. This year, Kentucky Nature license plates turn 20 as well. These are plates with the bobcat, cardinal, and the butterfly. Kentucky Nature license plates have helped safeguard more than 80,000 acres of wilderness areas for everyone to appreciate. And I can't wait to see what's down the road. See with me. Next time you renew, choose a nature plate and drive home your support for the great outdoors.
This is Kentucky Afield Radio. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Charlie Baglin. And if summer isn't the time to get up and get away, then I don't know when is. And because it is, it's time to talk with Scotty Ellis with the Kentucky Department of Travel and Seth Wheat with the Kentucky Office of Adventure Tourism. Kentucky, a wondrous place to travel, allergies or not?
Yes, Charlie, I'm getting over that terrible cold that prevented me from coming in a week ago.
And Scotty, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. I've missed the cold so far this year.
It was the allergies. It was the allergies that got me, yeah.
That's it.
I've never had them as bad as I did this year, and everybody else I've talked to seems to be in agreement with that this year was bad.
You know, the Weather Channel app, you can tap on it. It'll tell you what's in bloom. Pollen, grass, weeds. So I'm not sure what your allergies are, but when it comes to allergies, Kentucky is aiming to please.
Yes, a little bit for everything.
But they blow away. They're seasonal, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, the pollen index. Something to look forward to next time you're playing around on the Weather Channel app. Okay, so you're well, and we're ready to go forward. I asked you to do something this show, Scotty, that we hadn't done in the past, and that was sort of to make a top 10 list. Maybe reminiscent of David Letterman and his passing.
Oh, yeah.
The show's passing.
I know, it's so sad.
But we made a top 10 list, and these are some things, I guess you could call them top 10 things that are really cool to do in Kentucky in no particular order. Put that little asterisk there.
Yes, in no particular order. And these are just some of the fun things to do in the summer. But, you know, a lot of people like to be outdoors and take advantage of things. And so a lot of these revolve around being outside, whether it deals with music or being hiking or on the water. Just tons of things to do in Kentucky during the summer months.
It's interesting how varied these are. We're talking about adventure tourism today. We're talking about just the livelihoods that we have in Kentucky, the culture, festivals, music, just like you said. But Kentucky's got a lot going on. If you feel like, oh, no, it's summer, and if I can't go to Florida, summer's sunk, it ain't. And we started out here with houseboating. Houseboating, I've never given that a lot of thought.
Well, we actually call Lake Cumberland the houseboat capital of the world, and so that's a great spot to really kick off an adventure with one of these. I would call them almost mansions on water. They're really impressive. But you can go down there and quite literally stay on the water, and these boats can accommodate, large families and groups.
Sure, I think some can accommodate up to 20 people.
So you can go to these lakes and rent them.
Yes.
That works. And my neighbor, Ricky and Paula, have a houseboat. They were talking about, I had to go down and do some work to my boat, and I thought, well, okay, they're replacing a seat or a steering wheel. No, they're replacing the ceiling fans, plural, in their houseboat. So, but some people actually own these. But that would be a fun way to spend a weekend. How are they rented?
You can rent a weekend, you can rent a week long, and then also there's no worries if you're like myself and cannot drive a boat. They actually drive them out and plank them down for you. So you don't have to worry about that side of it either if you're a traveler like me.
I can drive a car, but I can't drive a Mack truck.
I can't either, so.
Have you done it, Seth?
A little bit. It's like Scotty said, the most important thing, of course, they're taking these very large boats and getting them in and out of the marinas where it's very tight quarters, where probably the majority of people on these boats don't need to be driving them. So some of them, I think, you can actually move them around once the staff at the marina gets you to open water, and then it's pretty straightforward. You have a steering wheel, and most of them have thrusters, and they'll have dual engines on the back. So you can use left and right thrusters and, maneuver the boat some. But generally you find a nice spot to park and you kind of set up your floating camp there, if you will. And then when you're ready to go home, you get it back to the marina or call the marina, and they'll come pick you up and bring it back for you.
That just sounds too cool.
It is.
You can Google houseboating in Kentucky, and, of course, things will pop right up. But a great place to go is KentuckyTourism.com, and you can search it right from the search bar, or you can look on our drop-down boxes and search specifically for lake activity, houseboating.
You'll find this at most of the major lakes, or all of them? Smaller lakes, I'm sure. Lake Mosey is not going to have them, or Corinth. But I guess, which ones right off the bat come to mind? Cumberland,
obviously, because they have set themselves as the houseboating capital of the world, like Scotty said, and then Kentucky and Barkley out in western Kentucky. Anyone that has a full-service type marina, most of them will at least have some type of houseboat for rent. And the bigger the lake and the larger the marine operation, the more variety, because you can get any number of styles and sizes of houseboats, just like any other boat. So, if there's a major lake in Kentucky with a lot of boating activity, it shouldn't be too hard to find a houseboat on it.
Number 2 on your list of the top things to do in the state this summer, in no particular order, paddling.
Yes.
That's like canoes, kayaks,
rafts, sure.
The Lake Cumberland Raft Ups. This is a great event that takes place August 8th. It holds the world record for the number of rafts on the water. But Lake Cumberland has this where you can go out on the water with your rafts and you can just kind of chill and hang out with your friends. And they've got live bands performing on the water. So that's a lot of fun. And that's August 8th.
Nice.
Now even stand-up paddle boards are getting big.
Those are a big thing.
I've seen those. I've seen them in pictures. I've never tried one. Have you?
I mean, it really works your abdominal muscles to keep that balance while you're standing up on those.
Paddle boards. We've talked about them on boating shows we've had here. They are becoming very popular.
They are.
And so you stand on these. Is it like a big surfboard?
From what I understand, yeah.
Yes,
you've done it.
It is. It's more wide, so you have a little bit more room, and there's more of a balance to it. But they are very similar to a surfboard, and you put them in, and you can go slow. There's so many different levels. Some people will even just stay on their knees and kind of paddle along. Some people stand up, and then the more advanced, which I can only dream of being like this. Some people even do yoga on them. They can have that much balance that they're doing handstands and things on these boards.
I would flip one very quickly. I just have that feeling.
As would I.
Unless they're that wide. If they're as wide as this counter, then maybe. But anyway, paddling. That's right up there in your office, Seth.
It is, absolutely.
So you take canoes, kayaks, rafting. Where are the top spots in the state?
Well, it's tough to narrow it down to a short list because one thing we're blessed with in Kentucky is miles and miles of water. Some of the more popular ones would probably be the Green River, the Elkhorn Creek in Franklin County.
That does have a good section, like 3-4 miles of whitewater, class 2, I want to say. But that's a good stretch river, and it goes all the way to the Kentucky River. So they're Green River. I guess when I ask good places to go is, one, if you've got your own stuff and are willing to drive wherever it may be out in the sticks, or where you can go to find canoe liveries.
The best place to look for those would probably be on my website, and that's KentuckyTourism.com/outdoor adventure. And we keep a list of all the paddling outfitters and liveries in the state and talk a little more about specifically what types of boats they rent and which rivers and streams they operate on.
Renting is the way to go. Let them pick it up. Let them do the shuttling. Let them wash it, maintain it. All you got to do is enjoy the ride. Summer vacation ideas in Kentucky. More with our friends from the Kentucky Department of Travel when we come back. You're listening to Kentucky Afield Radio. You are listening to Kentucky Afield Radio, and my name is Charlie Baglin. Welcome. Seth Wheat, Kentucky Office of Adventure Tourism, and Scotty Ellis with the Kentucky Department of Travel. It is summer, and we're talking about a list of activities to see and do. One that always makes a splash with the whole family is rafting and canoeing. In Kentucky, that's all within easy reach.
Like I said, because we have such a wealth of waterways, our paddling outfitters and liveries have also spread themselves out. So no matter what area of the state you're in, you're probably not too far away from somebody who can put you on a river if you don't have the boats and the means necessary to do it yourself. Shelterway
Trace Outfitters comes to mind. I remember them because I did a trip with them on the Cumberland Falls stretch downriver from the falls.
Sure.
And they paddle you pretty close right up there to the base of the falls.
Yeah, they do.
It's scary is not the right word. It gets your attention to look up.
Mm-hmm.
They may not look like Niagara Falls, but they're dudes. And when you look up at it from the, have you done this?
Yeah.
It's really a neat thing to see.
And, that's one of the only ways to get that view of the falls. There are viewing platforms all the way around it and downstream, but to see it from that angle, you got to get with them, and they'll take you right out there, and it's kind of awe-inspiring in a sense, and it's a very cool experience. And they'll even take people out just to do that. I did that much like you did, Charlie, before we went on the downriver rafting trip. That was the first part we did. If you just want to go see the falls, they'll put you in rafts or canoes or kayaks and take you out there and let you just see the falls.
That's a nice stretch. The group I was with went downstream, and I remember a rapid called, is it Spin Cycle? It has something to do with washing machine.
Yeah, that sounds right. They have several cleverly named rapids on that stretch of river. Spin Cycle sounds right. I believe that's correct.
So canoeing, kayaking, and rafting. Definitely fun things to do in the state. And you don't have to go to West Virginia to have a lot of fun doing that. You can do it right here in the Bluegrass State.
Absolutely. All over the Bluegrass State.
One thing I do like, I'll mention, is I remember on the Nolin, I was canoeing there some years back, and you can actually canoe underground, like back into a cave. Does it sound familiar?
Yeah, you can do that on certain places on the Green River where it flows through Mammoth Cave National Park. They've got similar things, too.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty slick.
Yeah, very cool.
Scotty, what do you want to add to the paddling topic?
Well, I love to paddle. Unfortunately, I had to get rid of my kayak because my apartment is too small. But I love to go out to the gorge because you can make a day of it. And I'll rent a kayak there with some friends. And it's about an 8-mile stretch that you can go down, and you can take it as fast as slow as you like. And it's a good entryway. A lot of my friends aren't that experienced, and so they all can enjoy it. But the great thing is you can pull off, you can do some hiking while you're paddling, or you can, there's swimming holes, you can jump off the cliffs and go swimming. And so you make a day out of it, and it can be a lot of fun.
There's a stretch of water somewhere in the Red River that is really rough, and you have to be experienced.
I know there's a stretch of the Rockhessel River that's very technical. There's stretches of the Cumberland, obviously, that are very technical. That's why they raft there, and you don't see many people doing the canoes. Certainly not canoes, but very few would take kayaks down that stretch that we've rafted. Russell Fork in far eastern Kentucky, and then even part of it's in Virginia. That is the probably the most technical, advanced whitewater we have. And like I said, we share that with the state of Virginia, but it's that stretch that flows and makes the Russell Fork Gorge and breaks Interstate Park. You'll have Class 5 plus whitewater there when they do the releases from the Flanagan Reservoir. And that happens in the month of October, and paddlers from all across the country who are, the elite will come to the breaks in Elkhorn City and Hayside, Virginia, and they'll spend, the whole month there on this whitewater.
It's just a life all its own.
It is.
It really is a thrill.
Absolutely is.
So, moving down the list, hiking.
Several of our state parks, our national parks, places like that, they host guided events in the summertime. They know the kids are out of school. They know a lot of times parents are looking for things to do with the families, even during the week. So you'll get a lot of maybe evening hikes or day-long adventures for kids. So we've got 50 state parks all across the Commonwealth, and I know Land Between the Lakes in western Kentucky, they do several events throughout the year, and they've got a huge property to explore out there. So you can visit those websites, parks.ky.gov or lbl.org, and learn about all the special hiking opportunities they have. And it doesn't even have to be, a special event. Most of our communities now, they've got good hiking, if not in them, then hopefully within a very short drive. So you can explore local arboretums, you can explore local community parks or county parks.
Yeah.
And, it's just about getting the family together, getting your friends together, and going outside, having a little exercise, burning some calories, and, seeing new things and new places.
Talking about hiking as number 3 on the list here. Is this where it falls on our list to talk about the 100-mile Cloud Splitter? Is that where we were going to bring this up?
The Cloud Splitter event is a 100-mile trail race that happens on the Pine Mountain State Scenic Trail in eastern Kentucky. The Pine Mountain State Scenic Trail is a 120-mile linear trail from Breaks Interstate Park to Cumberland Gap.
Right.
So this event happens later in the year in October, but it is like I said, a 100-mile trail race. So it's for some pretty elite athletes.
So you can walk it this summer and be ready to run it this October.
Better walk it a lot.
Yeah. Now you do this sort of thing, don't you, Scott?
Not that extreme. I will stick with more of the half marathon on trails. Trail running is hard stuff. I can run, a full marathon on pavement, but if I tried to do that on a trail, I'd be passing out somewhere. It's really rough. You have to be very careful. But the great thing about it is it goes by a lot faster because of the scenery. You're really taking in the views. And it's also more mentally challenging as well. Everybody thinks of running as a physical thing, but really you have to get through it mentally. And when you're running on a trail, you also have to think about, which steps to take. It's not just a straight route. So there's a lot involved.
It's not just about finishing, is it?
It is not. You definitely have to be careful because a running injury, it can put you out for a long time, or it could be much worse. So you definitely, finishing is the accomplishment, not necessarily the time.
Hiking in Kentucky. If you're looking to do something fun this summer and you want to come and hike our backwoods, Kentucky's a great place because it has a variety of hiking trails. Some are more challenging. You can hike the Land Between the Lakes fairly easy. You go to Mammoth Cave. To me, you got a lot of the beauty that you would of the Red River Gorge area, but not quite as steep. Mm-hmm. Then you can go on to eastern Kentucky. So you got a lot of variety.
A lot of beautiful scenic places spread out, and the topographies vary from one end to the other.
One of my favorite things, too, about the trails is a lot of people aren't able to see wildlife day to day. I'm from Henderson, Kentucky, and I actually grew up in Audubon State Park, so Audubon State Park is just a go-to for me when I'm visiting home, and I always like to do their backcountry trail. It's about 3 miles, if that. It's a quick trail, but it's beautiful. But my favorite thing is you're oftentimes running alongside of deer, and you're seeing all these animals that people oftentimes don't get to view in that natural state. And so it really is an opportunity for people to take in the wildlife as well.
Is it fair to include hiking with backpacking?
Absolutely.
Because that's one of the things I used to love to do. I would go every month. I'd pick a weekend. I'm going to go rain or shine, heat or cold. I didn't care. I went, and I got very good at it. And as far as hiking and backpacking this summer, where do you suggest the best places are to do that?
My top 2 suggestions would be our state's 2 longest trail systems, the Sheltowee Trace National Recreational Trail and the Pine Mountain State Scenic Trail. The Sheltowee Trace is just over 400 miles now, I believe, but that stretches down into Tennessee. There's 269 miles in Kentucky. The Pine Mountain Trail is 120 miles in eastern Kentucky from Bell County to Pike County. So those 2 trails, and there are several access points along each trail. We have several of our Kentucky trail towns, communities that we've been working through in my office, located along each section of trail, so you can find some very good access points. But you said something very interesting, Charlie. You said that you got good at it. And I think a lot of the times when we talk about our outdoor activities, we don't talk about it as something you get good at. But with backpacking and these more endurance-related adventure events, it really is something that you get better at the more you do it, because you learn what to take and what not to take. You adjust your backpack. It's something you're always...
what to cook, how to minimize weight, how to stay warm when it's cold, how to stay dry when it's storming.
It's an amazing learning process when you get into any of these activities. When you get into them very seriously, you start to want to be better at it. So I think it's very interesting how you said that you got good at it, and there are several people throughout Kentucky who are good at it, and it's a very fun thing to learn, and it's one of those things that you can read about it and you can prepare by doing research, but until you get out there and do it, you don't really know how it's going to affect you, and then you don't really know what you're going to learn until you're able to learn it first person.
Backpacking. Wilderness camping with your kitchen and your bedroom all on your back and nothing but adventure in front of you. Our fishing report is just ahead, and then we are back with more things to do in our summer to remember here on Kentucky Afield Radio. Back on Kentucky Afield Radio. My name is Charlie Baglin. And if you like what you hear, then these summer ideas are just the start. KentuckyTourism.com will find you more, lots more. Also, if you like what you hear and you'd like to share it, hear it again. You want to send the link via email to a buddy or put it on Facebook, share it there. You can like us on Facebook. You will also find us as a podcast on iTunes and then on YouTube.com. Put in Kentucky Afield Radio. And if you'd like, you could pull a Pam. Now, what that means, like my wife, she'll hear about something interesting. It'll pique her interest. Then she'll start dropping hints. That's what I'm trying to do here today with Kentucky Travels. More on Kentucky Travels coming up, but first, our fishing report.
This is Tom with your fishing report from the Northeast. On Cavern Lake, muskie anglers are picking up a few fish here and there on bass-sized crankbaits. Crappie have moved into brush piles on the main lake. You can pick them up on minnows and jigs. Ohio River bass are putting on a good morning topwater show. After the morning, fish those current breaks with cranks. You're looking for fish that are in that 8 to 10 foot range on stumps and rocks. Grayson bass are following the shad at that 10 to 15 foot range on main lake points and ledges. Crappie are holding tight to brush. Anglers are picking up a few bluegill in the morning on fly rods, and they're even catching a few catfish at night, focusing on the deeper water. Don't forget all the good fishing in our recently stocked Finns Lakes. Maysville Mason County Rec Lake was stocked with catfish in May, and Easy Walker Park Lake in Montgomery County was recently stocked with some hybrid bluegill. That should do it for us. Wherever you go, good luck and stay safe. Hope to see you out on the water.
This is Kevin Fry with your Eastern Area Fisheries Report. Recent trout stockings occurred June 16th at Paintsville Lake and Fish Trap Lake tailwaters. Bass anglers seeing a lot of bass swimming around with fry, smaller bass being readily caught near shoreline on plastics and topwater, larger fish coming from deeper water on Carolina rigs, and some from open water areas with topwater bait. Gatesville Lake has been producing some of the better reports for keeper fish numbers. Most streams being reported in good condition and furnishing good catfish, smallmouth bass, and rock bass reports. Simple drifting of red worms on split shot, yielding mixed bags of fish and plenty of action. The hot weather now will also bring some good muskie fishing in North Fork Kentucky River, Quicksand Creek, and Middle Fork of Kentucky River, upstream and downstream of Buckhorn Lake.
This is Eric Cummins with your Southwest Kentucky Fishing Report. Barren River Lake bass are being taken on main lake points and channel drops. Top waters have been good early and late, and the night bite is starting to kick in. Crappie have been fair under light at night and early in the day on deeper brush in 12 to 15 foot of water. Bluegill are still good up shallow in about 3 to 6 foot of water with worms and crickets. Hybrids have been good early and late, and in the wee hours in the lower sections of the lake at night, and casting plugs are trolling in about 12 to 15 foot of water. Green River Lake thermocline has settled in around 20 foot. Bass have been best early and late, and at night with Carolina rigs, deep crankbaits, and grubs. As always, good luck and good fishing. Be sure your life jacket's got your back.
Maybe I won't, but I could.
Maybe.
Yes, I won't.
Well, on second thought,
Yeah.
No. Mm-mm.
yes.
Arguing with yourself about life jackets? Well, the answer is yes. The answer has always been yes.
What the heck?
Yes.
Could be you've just been lucky till now.
Yes.
This boating season, Kentucky conservation officers remind you, your life jackets got your back. We are back. My name is Charlie Baglin. You are listening to Kentucky Afield Radio. This is a show we have dedicated to disproving the myth that summer vacations force you to flee to another state for fun. I'll say this. It's a big world out there, and you should see it. But there's a but coming. Many have become so dependent on heading elsewhere for that summer trip that they miss what's here. Our lakes, fishing, rock formations, the moonbow, and a list as long as your arm of others. Scotty Ellis and Seth Wheat, both from the Kentucky Department of Travel, are with me in the studio, and for the rest of the hour we'll be working our way through their list, their top 10 list of Kentucky travel ideas in no particular order. Number 4. A big one. People come from all over the world for this. Caving. Mammoth Cave, Carter Caves, where else?
Lost River Cave in Bowling Green, it's actually a great cave if you can't spend a large amount of time there. They have set tours, and they're on a shortened time period, but you still get that experience. And they have different levels, and they've also got different ways to go through the caves. Of course, you can hike, but they also have kayak tours through the water, and you can see the caves that way. Now, Mammoth Cave, of course, is a national park, and that's a great place to visit, and you could spend a week there because there's tons of things to do even outside of the caving experience. Mammoth Cave is one of my favorite places to send visitors because it's breathtaking, and it's just fun for everyone who goes. You always take something away there.
Yeah. I think one of the reasons we put it on this summer list of things to do is obviously when we get into our 100 degrees and 80% humidity days, it's pretty comfortable in the caves.
Oh, yeah.
Charlie, you know what I mean?
We have mentioned that before, like mega caverns, which we may bring up later, and zip lining. That's a good thing to do summer or winter because it's warm in the winter and it's cool in the summer.
But like Scotty said, once you get there, the caves themselves are the main attraction, but that's only the tip of the iceberg at Mammoth Cave.
Right. Yeah, you got rivers. The surface area of Mammoth Cave National Park is really worth spending a couple of days getting familiar with.
Absolutely.
So we're looking at a map, and the karst regions of Kentucky, down south-central Kentucky-ish, north of Bowling Green, that would be the Mammoth Cave area.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And then up in northeastern Kentucky is Carter Cave State Park. Talk about that park and what you can see and do.
It's very similar to Mammoth Cave, too, for just the same reasons we mentioned. The park system does some great guided cave tours, and that's another interesting thing to talk about quickly, is that at Mammoth Cave and at Carter Caves, they have a multitude of cave tours to offer. You can do a short tour. You can do all the way up to a very extended, strenuous, where you're almost a full-on spelunker. You've got your knee pads on and your helmet. So you can get as extreme and see different parts of these great cave systems at both these places. But Carter Caves, like Mammoth Cave, It has a great campground. It has a recently constructed equestrian campground. There's miles of horseback riding trails. There's some good cycling routes in and around Carter Caves. The community of Olive Hill is one of our certified Kentucky trail towns, so they're doing a lot to attract people to the area to hike, to cycle, to paddle. There's a lake in Carter Cave State Park, and also Tigers Creek is a very popular paddling and fishing creek in that area.
Caving grottos, will they offer, go with us, we're doing this trip and that trip on this day and that, such as a canoe club might work?
Very similar. And the best thing to do, again, is to check those clubs out individually. The one I'm most familiar with, and I'm still not very familiar with it, I'll have to admit, is like the Louisville Grotto, I think is what they're called. And they, I believe, actually own a piece of property as a club. And I could be wrong, that's where I have to check this. They actually own their own little piece of property or have a lease agreement set up where they have their own little cave that they can go explore as a club. And I believe they'll host a day or two every year where they can invite non-club members to come with them. And they'll, of course, do trips to the public places, too.
Here's an idea for you, Scotty. Cave run.
Yeah, hopefully they don't turn the lights off.
Up and down the steps, yeah, do it in the dark. Increase the challenge.
That could get very dangerous.
A helmet-free cave run. Part of it you'll have to, like a cave crawl. But have you ever heard of such a thing?
I have not.
A cave race?
Who knows? There probably is one somewhere.
There probably is one somewhere. I've heard of crazier things, but I have not heard of one in Kentucky.
No, I have not either.
All right, there's something new. Music festivals around Kentucky. Which ones come to mind first that made you put this on your list as number 5?
Music festivals are becoming more of the experience that concert goers are looking to go to, because for a fairly reasonable fee, when you think of all the performers you can see, you get a weekend full of music. But of course, here in Kentucky, we're known for bluegrass, and the Romp Festival, R-O-M-P, in Owensboro, Kentucky, is really becoming one of the leading ones in our state. And you can see great bluegrass acts on June 24th through 27th of the 2015 festival. And you can also camp out there. And so in the campgrounds, a lot of the musicians that are performing on stage, they'll go to the campgrounds, kind of set up an area where you can come and take lessons from them. So it's really interactive. It's a different experience that many festival goers are able to see. You can go on your website at KentuckyTourism.com and search music. All sorts of things will come up. All kinds of concerts will go up. And in Louisville is the Forecastle Festival. And that is on the riverfront in Louisville. And they have all kinds of, more up-and-coming music like Modest Mouse and Sam Smith. But they also have a lot of fun things like a bourbon lounge, so you can go and partake in our favorite spirit. And that takes place July 17th through 19th of this year. Speaking of music in Kentucky in the summer band concert series. The local town, Bardstown, has one. Frankfort, Owensboro. They're scattered all over. Lexington has them. But you'll have just downtown in a park, like Frankfort has theirs at their old capital. And it's a walk up, bring your lawn chair. There's no admission. Kids can have fun there. Anybody can have fun. This is like on a Friday or a Tuesday. And they go on all summer. Those things are fun. Are they on your website? They are. Owensboro has every other Friday after 5. That's listed on our website. There are some that are not, and a great thing to do is look at your local Convention and Visitors Bureau websites. An example of this would be Louisville has Waterfront Wednesday, where every last Wednesday of the summer months under the Big Four Bridge, they put on a huge free concert, and they bring in some really big names, and so it's a great opportunity. And they have like 100,000 people down there, and it's not listed on our website, but you can find those dates on the Louisville Convention and Visitors Bureau websites. But you're right, they're popping up. You could practically travel across the state and see a free music show every night during the summer. It's really great. That would be neat if you could work out the itinerary to do that. Oh, yeah. Next on your list,
Shaker Village.
Shaker Village of Pleasant Hill in Harrodsburg, Kentucky, they are really doing a lot of great things. They have really amped up their adventures and opportunities for visitors. They've got a lot of stuff going on, whether you want to go and take part in one of their learning weekends where you can learn, we talk about backpacking, you can learn the tools needed and the knowledge needed to go and have a successful backpacking trip. Or they have a lot of these trail runs, more on my level versus the 100-mile plus experience. But an example would be on June 27th, they're actually having the 10-mile trail run. And, Shaker Village of Pleasant Hill, they call them the Unpleasant Hill series. So
that must be rough out there.
Yeah, it's pretty rough, but they're a lot of fun. And, Shaker Village, you get to stay in the restored Shaker homes that they've built. And they've got tons of opportunities. They've got the stand-up paddle boards that we're talking about. They even have well-crafted local brews and local bands music in August. So just a lot of things going on depending on what your interests are.
Vineyards have it going on. What prompted you to put that on the list?
Well, we talk about bourbon so much. Of course, we make 95% of the world's bourbon, but there's some really surprising facts about our wine. For example, Kentucky actually had the first commercial vineyard in the U.S. in Nicholasville.
Coolest vineyard I think I've ever seen didn't make wine. Up in New York State, Welch's Grape Jelly.
Oh, that would
neat.
be cool.
Yeah. That would be neat to see. You think vineyard, you automatically think wine.
Yeah,
but jelly. I wonder if we make jelly in the state.
I've not heard of it.
I know that Kentucky Proud, they have like homemade jellies, but I don't know.
Oh, yeah, sure. I don't know about any big commercial operation. Several local people,
Definitely.
You can go to a vineyard, and I remember Equus Run had Mary Chapin Carpenter in concert a few years ago, and this is not unusual.
No, we talk about those pop-up concerts. Equus Run is a great spot. You can go out and have their wine and take a picnic, and they've got a live music show going on.
That's near where, Midway?
Mm-hmm. Yes, so the great thing about these vineyards are they have the land, it's a beautiful scenery, and even if maybe wine isn't your particular interest, they've got a lot of different activities going on around the wine. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, much like our, again, Scotty mentioned the bourbon industry earlier, but much like our bourbon industry, I think these places are becoming more visitor-minded and visitor-oriented. They're opening their doors to more events and providing more activities than just simply producing wine.
We have 3 more things on your list, Scotty and Seth, that we wanted to hit before we close the show. First is, coming in at number 8, culinary hands-on.
Yes.
And that's where we'll pick up in our final few when we come back. Talking about your options for summer fun and adventure and getaways in Kentucky this summer. I'm still thinking about peanut butter and jelly sandwich now on Wonder Bread. You're listening to Kentucky Afield Radio. We are back on Kentucky Afield Radio. My name is Charlie Baglin, and we're in our final few with our friends from the Kentucky Department of Travel, Scotty Ellis and Seth Wheat with the Kentucky Office of Adventure Tourism, working our way through their top 10 list of things to do in Kentucky this summer in no particular order. We're up to number 8, the culinary side of the Bluegrass State. It's something I call the hot brown and beyond.
So you have to eat when you travel. You might as well.
Does that mean like grab a hot dog, grab popcorn?
I'm talking about like Berea, Kentucky. Berea, around the college, they're really teaching people about sustainability and having these organic practices when it comes to their food. So you can go to Berea and actually go out to the fields and pick strawberries and pick different produce and then learn about how to cook. There's also opportunities for that at Shaker Village. And then there's lots of cooking classes around the state. For example, Louisville, you can learn how to cook with bourbon.
That works.
Yeah.
I assume barbecue somewhere in the mix there.
Oh, absolutely. Well, barbecue, you can go across the state. And, of course, in the spring, every year we have the International Barbecue Festival that takes place in Owensboro in May. But you can still go down there and have some fine barbecue food.
So foods that make Kentucky, Kentucky.
Mm-hmm. We just launched the culinary site for Kentucky tourism, and so you can go on there and find that. It's KentuckyCuisine.com, and there actually is a list of Kentucky original food. And one great example of that is beer cheese, and there's actually a beer cheese trail in Winchester, Kentucky, the birthplace of beer cheese, and they have a beer cheese festival, which is right around the corner, the weekend of June 13th.
Oh, I should mention, I was talking to someone in Kentucky Proud, the Department of Agriculture's Kentucky Food, and I just happened to be someplace, and in my hand I had a bag of cheese-flavored Doritos. And he said, you're eating Kentucky Proud there. And the cheese that's on nacho-flavored cheese-flavored Doritos actually comes from a farm down around Glasgow. He had told me the name, and it slips my mind.
That's amazing.
And so it's on there. And so when you think cheese, normally you think Wisconsin. Mm-hmm. Okay, now here's the punchline. Kentucky cheese is actually on Doritos. In a sense, Kentucky actually did beat Wisconsin. You had to stretch, but you can make the connection.
Some type of connection, yeah.
Zip lining. We have not talked about zip lining. I mentioned it a little bit, but the world's first underground zip lines in Louisville, mega caverns, and they've got a bike trail down there and all kinds. It's a great free plug, but it's a really cool place to go.
It is, absolutely.
And it's warm in the winter and it's cool in the summer. Mm-hmm. I've seen on TV commercials about the Red River Gorge zip line. That looks like a fun one.
It is fun. The scenery's beautiful too.
Are they popping up more and more around the state? Can you find those listed on your website?
You can find them on our website. We have a whole section, KentuckyTourism.com/outdoor adventure. We have a whole section just for our zip lines. And it's interesting because about 5 years ago, we opened our first zip line in the state of Kentucky. It's right outside Mammoth Cave National Park. And that's a really common trend, is that you see these zip lines open up at other popular destinations. Now I think we have 10 all over Kentucky. The Red River Gorge, one's in northern Kentucky just outside Maysville. There's one outside Kentucky Lake. There's one in Harlan County on the Black Mountain Off-Road Adventure area, which is the tallest, mountain area in the state of Kentucky. So, they have really taken off all over Kentucky.
Coming in at number 10 is our state parks. We could do a whole show on state parks. What are some of the more popular ones?
Obviously, the ones located at our lakes are very popular in the summertime. Many of our state parks even have their own marina or, some type of setup like that where you can rent boats from them. And so you can really get your whole vacation through the state park if you wanted to. You can stay in a lodge, you can camp, you can visit the restaurant, so on and so forth. So the ones at our lakes are definitely popular. Cumberland Falls is a great one because of what we talked about earlier, the paddling opportunities. Sure. And it's got plenty of hiking. Natural Bridge in the Red River Gorge is always one of our most popular state parks to visit at any time of year. They all have something to offer, and that's the great thing about being a state park, is they're all unique, but they're all similar in that you expect to have, certain experiences that are the same across the board with their own uniqueness and individuality available at each one.
I grew up in Carrollton, and in Carrollton, way up in northern Kentucky on the Ohio River. We had General Butler State Resort Park, golf course and tennis courts and swimming. It's like its own little world. And you could go there, and it's not like you're in Carrollton. You're in this is like Magic Land. Mm-hmm. It's really cool. Wherever you are listening to this show, there's probably you have a favorite park, wherever that is. So my encouragement is, go see another one.
Absolutely, and I think that is the best thing about Kentucky. There's 48 state parks, and, so whatever you're traveling for, like an example, if you're going to the W.C. Handy Blues Fest in Henderson, go to Audubon Park and stay at those cabins instead of a hotel. Have that unique experience that Kentucky offers. And so that's a great place to look for accommodations, and then that way you get in the activity that you were going for, but you also have opportunities for outdoor and just different things.
Kind of hard to talk about summer fun. You have to bring up 4th of July. Where are the best fireworks found in our state?
Lake Cumberland offers a great firework because you can watch it from the docks or on the water. They actually have it from 8 p.m. to 11:55 p.m., so pretty much midnight.
Fireworks after the Stephen Foster story in Bardstown. That sounds like that would be fun to do. Madisonville has a 4th Fest, and Lake Cumberland's 4th Fest. There's something in Jamestown. I bet if you go to your website, will you find more? What do you have to search?
Go to KentuckyTourism.com and you can search the 4th of July, fireworks, just any of those keywords. It'll pop right up. It's a really good search engine.
Do your research and then come visit.
Well, Seth, Scotty, thanks a million for coming by, and have a great summer.
Thanks, Charlie.
Thank you.
KentuckyTourism.com is the website. It's got to be the best search engine on planet Earth. It's just like searching through your sister's diary. You'll be astounded at what you find. We are out of time. This is Charlie Bagman, inviting you to join us in a week, and we will go inside outdoors again here on Kentucky Afield Radio. We are back on Kentucky Afield Radio. My name is Charlie Bagman, and we're in our final few with our friends from the Kentucky Department of Travel, Scotty Ellis and Seth Wheat with the Kentucky Office of Adventure Tourism, working our way through their top 10 list of things to do in Kentucky this summer in no particular order. We're up to number 8, the culinary side of the Bluegrass State. It's something I call the hot brown and beyond.
So you have to eat when you travel. You might as well.
Does that mean like grab a hot dog, grab popcorn?
I'm talking about like Berea, Kentucky. Berea, around the college, they're really teaching people about sustainability and having these organic practices when it comes to their food. So you can go to Berea and actually go out to the fields and pick strawberries and pick different produce and then learn about how to cook. There's also opportunities for that at Shaker Village. And then there's lots of cooking classes around the state. For example, Louisville, you can learn how to cook with bourbon.
That works.
Yeah.
I assume barbecue somewhere in the mix there.
Oh, absolutely. Well, barbecue, you can go across the state. And, of course, in the spring, every year we have the International Barbecue Festival that takes place in Owensboro in May. But you can still go down there and have some fine barbecue food.
So, foods that make Kentucky, Kentucky.
Mm-hmm. We just launched the culinary site for Kentucky Tourism, and so you can go on there and find that. It's KentuckyCuisine.com, and there actually is a list of Kentucky original food. And one great example of that is beer cheese, and there's actually a beer cheese trail in Winchester, Kentucky, the birthplace of beer cheese, and they have a beer cheese festival, which is right around the corner, the weekend of June 13th.
Oh, I should mention, I was talking to someone in Kentucky Proud, the Department of Agriculture's Kentucky Food. And I just happened to be someplace, and in my hand I had a bag of cheese-flavored Doritos. And he said, you're eating Kentucky Proud there. And the cheese that's on nacho-flavored cheese-flavored Doritos actually comes from a farm down around Glasgow. He had told me the name, and it slips my mind.
That's amazing.
And so it's on there. And so when you think cheese, normally you think Wisconsin. Mm-hmm. Okay, now here's the punchline. Kentucky cheese is actually on Doritos. In a sense, Kentucky actually did beat Wisconsin. You had to stretch, but you can make the connection.
Some type of connection, yeah.
Zip lining. We have not talked about zip lining. I mentioned it a little bit, but the world's first underground zip lines in Louisville, mega caverns, and they've got a bike trail down there and all kinds. It's a great free plug, but it's a really cool place to go.
It is, absolutely.
And it's warm in the winter and it's cool in the summer. I've seen on TV commercials about the Red River Gorge zip line. That looks like a fun one.
It is fun. The scenery's beautiful, too.
Are they popping up more and more around the state? Can you find those listed on your website?
You can find them on our website. We have a whole section, KentuckyTourism.com/outdooradventure. We have a whole section just for our zip lines. And it's interesting because about 5 years ago, we opened our first zip line in the state of Kentucky. It's right outside Mammoth Cave National Park. And that's a really common trend, is that you see these zip lines open up at other popular destinations. Now I think we have 10 all over Kentucky. The Red River Gorge, one's in northern Kentucky just outside Maysville. There's one outside Kentucky Lake. There's one in Harlan County on the Black Mountain Off-Road Adventure area, which is the tallest, mountain area in the state of Kentucky. So, they have really taken off all over Kentucky.
Coming in at number 10 is our state parks. We could do a whole show on state parks. What are some of the more popular ones?
Obviously, the ones located at our lakes are very popular in the summertime. Many of our state parks even have their own marina or, some type of setup like that where you can rent boats from them. And so you can really get your whole vacation through the state park if you wanted to. You can stay in a lodge, you can camp, you can visit the restaurant, so on and so forth. So the ones at our lakes are definitely popular. Cumberland Falls is a great one because of what we talked about earlier, the paddling opportunities.
Sure.
And it's got plenty of hiking. Natural Bridge in the Red River Gorge is always one of our most popular state parks to visit at any time of year. They all have something to offer, and that's the great thing about being a state park, is they're all unique, but they're all similar in that you expect to have, certain experiences that are the same across the board with their own uniqueness and individuality available at each one.
I grew up in Carrollton, and in Carrollton, way up in northern Kentucky on the Ohio River. We had General Butler State Resort Park, golf course and tennis courts and swimming. It's like its own little world. And you could go there, and it's not like you're in Carrollton. You're in this is like Magic Land. It's really cool. Wherever you are listening to the show, there's probably you have a favorite park, wherever that is. So my encouragement is, go see it all.
Absolutely, and I think that is the best thing about Kentucky. There's 48 state parks, and, so whatever you're traveling for, like an example, if you're going to the W.C. Handy Blues Fest in Henderson, go to Audubon Park and stay at those cabins instead of a hotel. Have that unique experience that Kentucky offers. And so that's a great place to look for accommodations, and then that way you get in the activity that you were going for, but you also have opportunities for outdoor and just different things.
Kind of hard to talk about summer fun. You have to bring up 4th of July. Where are the best fireworks found in our state?
Lake Cumberland offers a great firework because you can watch it from the docks or on the water. They actually have it from 8 p.m. to 11:55 p.m., so pretty much midnight.
Fireworks after the Stephen Foster story in Bardstown. That sounds like that would be fun to do. Madisonville has a Fourth Fest, and Lake Cumberland's Fourth Fest. There's something in Jamestown. I bet if you go to your website, will you find more? What do you have to search?
Go to KentuckyTourism.com, and you can search the 4th of July, fireworks, just any of those keywords. It'll pop right up. It's a really good search engine.
Do your research and then come visit.
Well, Seth, Scotty, thanks a million for coming by, and have a great summer.
Thanks, Charlie.
Thank you.
KentuckyTourism.com is the website. It's got to be the best search engine on planet Earth. It's just like searching through your sister's diary. You'll be astounded at what you find. We are out of time. This is Charlie Bagman, inviting you to join us in a week, and we will go inside outdoors again here on Kentucky Afield Radio.